Good morning, Year 9. Thank you for those of you that have submitted your work for last Thursday and Friday on how to multiply fractions. That work's going to be really important for you to do this work here, which is dividing fractions. So please copy the date, title, and learning objective into your books, please. Remember, pause the video anytime that you want to catch up, or just copy anything down that I ask you to copy down, okay? So once you've done that, we will move on to the first thing we need to know about when we divide fractions. Now, what I want you to remember are these three words here: keep, change, and flip. Okay, keep, then change, then flip. So this is the way that everybody and how you divide every single fraction, okay, in the world. It works the same for everything. So, firstly, you keep the first fraction the same. Then instead of dividing, you change it to a multiply, and then flip the second fraction upside down. And this is called finding the reciprocal, just in case you wanted the technical term. This will make more sense when I do it in an example. But firstly, what I'd like you to do is to copy these three things down into your books, please. Okay, we'll move on to the first example. So example number 1, we've got 2 here. So a quarter divided by a third, and then we've got 2/5 divided by 5/8. We'll start with a quarter divided by a third. Now, here is how you would do it. You would keep the first fraction the same, so we're going to keep a quarter just as it is. You change the divide to a times, and then flip the second fraction upside down. So we're going to end up with 3 up here and 1 down here. Now what we can do now is we just do the same as we did last Thursday and Friday when we were multiplying fractions. We do 1 times 3, which is 3, and then 4 times 1, which is 4. And so our answer is 3/4. So a quarter divided by a third is 3/4. Okay, that's how that works. So you remember, when we're multiplying fractions, you multiply the numerators together and then multiply the denominators together. And if you need to simplify that last fraction. Let's have another go. So keep, change, flip. Keep the first fraction the same, so 2/5. Change the divide to a times and flip upside down. So I've got 2/5 times 8/5 instead. So let's have a look. 2 times 8 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. Now, is there anything that we can divide 16 and 25 by? Nope, there isn't, so we just have to leave it the same. Okay, we can't simplify that fraction, so our answer is 16 over 25. Okay, so that's kind of the basics for you, all right, for dividing fractions. Always remember, just keep, change, flip, and then do your multiplication as normal. Let's have a look at something like this. Example number 2, 5/8 divided by 4 and 7 divided by 2/3. So we've got a whole number in there. Now what we do is very similar to what we did with multiplying whole numbers. So we have to do 5/8 divided by 4/1. We actually change the 4 to be 4/1, like a fraction. Okay, that's what we actually do instead. Let me just rub that out so we can just deal with that bit at the front. So you can write any whole number as a fraction over 1. So we do the same thing. We keep the first fraction the same, so 5/8. We change the divide to a times, and then we flip the second fraction upside down. So you'd end up with 1 at the top and 4 at the bottom instead. So you'd end up with a quarter. We do the same, so 5 times 1 is 5. 8 times 4 is 32. Now, can we simplify that at all? Nope, I don't think we can. Nothing goes into 5 that goes into 32, so that's the final answer. Same for this one here. Instead of having 7, you would change it to 7/1. Okay? So we would have, keep the first fraction the same, 7/1, times, instead of a divide, and then 3/2. Okay? We change the 2/3 upside down to 3/2. Then we do 7 times by 3, which is 21, and then we do 1 times by 2, which is 2. So we've got 21 over 2. Again, we can't simplify that, but maybe we could turn it into a nice mixed number. So how many 2's go into 21? Well, it goes in 10 times remainder 1. That's going to be 10.5 if we wanted to change it to a mixed number. Okay, so there's your second example for you to write down. Remember, keep, change, flip. And then if you've got a whole number, you can write it as a fraction over 1. So here are the questions that I'd like you to do today. Ignore these ones down here, okay? I don't want you to do those ones. We'll rub them out. So you've got red, which is like a warm-up. You've got amber in the middle, which is like the solid questions that I want you to get done. And then you've got extension over the side here, where you've got one of them is a whole number and not a fraction. Now I'd like you to do all these questions, please. So you need to do the first 6, then the second 6, and then those 4 there. So that's 16 questions altogether, which is usually what you do anyway, okay? So these are the questions I'd like you to do. I have got answers on the PDF as well, so you can kind of check your answers as you go along. Now, it's really important that you remember to simplify your fractions, otherwise you won't get the right answer at the end. Okay, so really important that you remember to simplify your fractions. For example, let me go over the first one because I think you do need to do this one. So a half, keep the first fraction the same. A half times by 4/3 would end up with 1 times 4 on the top, so 4, and 2 times 3. Now we can change 4/6. That wouldn't be the right answer. We would need to simplify it to be 2/3. We need to half the 4 and half the 6 to simplify that fraction as much as possible. Okay, 4/6 wouldn't be right. You would need to simplify it. Okay, so please remember to simplify your fractions. Let me see if I can just do that and get that out of your way. Okay, good. Now here's your extension for today. If we were asked to do division with mixed numbers, so where you've got a whole number part and then a fraction part. Now what we would have to do is we would have to change them into improper fractions first. Okay, we would have to change them both into improper fractions first. So 2 4/5 as an improper fraction. Well, we would do 2 times 5, which is 10, add the 4, which is 14. So we'd have 14 over 5. Divided by 3 times 2 is 6, 6 add 1 is 7. So divided by 7 over 2. Okay, remember that little trick that we taught you how to do. So 2 times 5, so you do the whole number times the denominator, add the numerator, so you get 14. 3 times 2, and then add the 1 at the top, which gives you 7, and you keep the denominator the same. So then we do our keep, change, flip. So keep 14 over 5, the same. Change the divide to a times and flip the second fraction upside down. So we end up with 14 times 2, which is 28, and 5 times 7, which is 35. Now we can divide the 28 and the 35, we can simplify that by dividing by 7. So if I just show that, divide by 7 to simplify it. And we get 28 divided by 7 is 4, and 35 divided by 7 is 5. So our final answer is 4/5. Okay, so the only kind of extra step with this is you would have to change it into improper fraction first. And then you do the same thing, the keep, change, and flip over here. Okay? All right. So please remember to mark your work. I have got answers on the PDF there. Then you can submit a picture of your work to me via the Google Classroom or via email, whichever one has been working for you. Remember, I'm here to help you, so if you get stuck on any of these questions, I can help you straight away. You just need to comment, okay, or email, and I will help you. Okay, so I look forward to seeing your work on this division, Year 9, and I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope you had a lovely weekend as well.